Meg, A Novel of Deep Terror is a 1997 book by Steve Alten. And I have Steve Donoghue, another Steve, to thank for his constant superfan boosterism of this novel. And that in the movie that's coming out in August, it's finally got me to say, hey, let's check out what all the fuss is about. So, Meg is Megalodon. It's a a megalodon, basically supergiant dinosaur shark that is going to eat us all. And of course, it's as Jaw isn't about the shark. It's about, man's commercialism or kind of problems with marriage. Meg is about probably masculine. It's emasculation, and we have our hero Jonas Taylor, who basically he came up against Meg. Meg in the deeps in the Marianas Trench, many years ago, and it broke him. He lost men under his watch because he's a U.S. Navy deep sea diver. It broke him, and he turned into an egghead, a wimp, and he just doesn't have that. He doesn't have the strength. He doesn't have the will and the nerve to get back in the ocean. And his wife has cheated on him with his best friend, billionaire pal, and he's basically, he's as low as he can get. I don't know how. I have a feeling with the movie they're going to have to change this because Jason Statham, who is going to be the one playing Jonas, obviously, I just can't see Jason Statham being some emasculated egghead twerp. So most likely they'll butch all that up. But in this telling, the original telling of thing, Jonas of course gets the call, and his friend Tanaka. His son is down in the deeps, and he's been lost, and it's like, you gotta help me with my son. And of course the reluctant hero goes down, and he's gonna have to confront his things. Jonah. Yes, Jonah. The name may sound familiar from a biblical allusion, and indeed, quite funnily enough, that does come up in the conclusion of this book, but I won't spoil anything for you other than to get that laugh. Haha. Now, this is a fun book. This is a facts-adjacent book. The opening scene is this awesome thing between Meg, the megalodon shark, and a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which I've heard varying things about. That really these two creatures probably didn't coexist at the same time. But who cares? It's so cool and fun to watch, to listen. I listened to this on a audiobook read by Sean Renette, who sounded a little bit older than what I would envision what Jonas and the thing would sound, but he did a good job. But anyways, they do a good job of just sort of like this dramatic opening back in the age of the dinosaur, and Meg taking out this T-Rex, and now we're in the present, and yeah, he's got to go back to the Marianas Trench and go deep for a novel of deep terror. And, will our hero man up? Will he, conquer his things? Oh, gee, it's hard to tell. This is a long-running series, by the way. Now, the book it's fun and it goes along. I find the last kind of third or quarter, it sort of dilutes. It introduces a bunch of more characters, and it sort of loses track of Jonah in the story. Like, I wished it kind of had kept on him a bit more, because when they drift away from, like, because it's a cliche thing of, like, it's a male power fantasy of this guy who doesn't have this power. He's had this loss of nerve. He's dealing with psychological issues, overcomes them, and, well, maybe overcomes them. You never know. Maybe Meg wins. Maybe it's why these are the Meg novels, because it continues on with Meg and Jonah gets eaten. You never know. But, I wish it had stuck with Jonah through a little bit closer throughout. He comes back up in the end, but there's a bit in there in the middle where we're fiddling with other characters that I really didn't care about. Characters in quotations. These are definitely action hero kind of cardboard cutouts with their kind of stories. The only other points that come up, I think, are there's his ex-wife Maggie, who's kind of the fame-hungry TV reporter type who, gee, I wonder how well things are going to go for her. There's Terry Tanaka, the young, beautiful, spunky kind of new woman that comes up in the novel, and she gets described because she's of Asian. She's of Asian. She's Asian. I think she's Japanese. She keeps on getting described with almond eyes, and I was like, I don't think we're supposed to use almond eyes anymore. That might be a question out to you, but I had the sense like, my senses of I don't think we're supposed to use that descriptor anymore, guys. That came up for me as just one of those little points. And this is like 1997 novel, so you think by now you would have figured out. Another thing, this is just more of an audiobook thing. The audiobook is listed at 10 hours, and I'm like listening along. I'm like, we're close to the end, but it's still got like almost 2 hours to go. And well, there's a reason why it has almost 2 hours to go. It's because the book ends actually where it's supposed to end, even though this is the wonderful thing with other media other than book where you can flip to the end. It's like, the book ends. You know, Meg swims into the sunset as happily as a shark can be, murdering and eating all the people as all we hope for. Maybe. Then afterwards there is Meg Origins, a little novella bonus thing, which as a review of that, having just read the original book, this seems to be a book that's been written like after 8 more novels, and it's basically a dramatization of all the backstory that you get in the original novel, like little just that with a little bit of stealing a joke from Jaws, and basically just tying everything up in a kind of a very much fan service thing. So that was definitely something that's for the super fans, and you don't really need to listen to it, I would say. But yeah, so that's my review of Meg, a novel of deep terror, and I'll be interested to see. I probably won't be with Steve Donoghue, lined up with my tickets clasped in my hand, but I'll be curious to see what Hollywood does to this. It's definitely one of these things where you could write in different characters. This is all about Meg. This is the Meg story. Meg is the star of this tale. She'll crunch anybody else between her giant jaws. And yes, you'll if you're looking for just sort of some kind of a fun science fiction thriller, techno thriller, I guess, bio thriller, giant shark thriller novel, this is your bag. Yes, it was a super fun thing to listen to on the weekend while I was doing my chores. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve Donoghue. Thank you, Steve Alten. That was fun. More videos later.